know the Hollywood movie Tron from the early 80s? This movie really changed my life. It made me dedicate my professional career to artificial intelligence. And actually, as I saw this 84 or so, I started programming. My first software I wrote was on this computer. Actually, the software was meant to be an artificial intelligence. It was programmed to forecast lottery draws. It computed the whole night. The next day, I filled out the lottery draws, and the other day, I win 500 euros compared. Actually, it was the last time I ever won anything, because the software was built on pure random, but I did not give up. In the 90s, I spent over 5 years developing a stock market prediction system. And now I was more successful. It bet the odds 60% hit rates against 50. So, and actually, what we've done at that age is quite similar what AI is today. AI is something, a self-learning mechanism that automates operative decisions. It's like a Google car. It just drives from A to B. It stops where something comes across. It makes small decisions, but basically it uses predictive analytics techniques to automate operative decisions. This is what we also use in many fields in market research also today. The top 3 applications are facial coding, text analytics, and forecasting. Just one example. Text analytics, there are platforms where you can teach the AI to automatically code text. And by doing that with a standard data set, you can do it 5 times faster. Another example for forecasting. So in fast-moving consumer goods, just 5% of newly launched products will be successful. So hit rate today, 5%. So we applied AI to predict success and can basically predict not 5%, but 81% hit rate, predict whether a product will be successful or not. So AI can be quite useful as you see. But today, I want to concentrate on the next generation of AI, which will be conventional AI. It is not like a Google self-driving car. It is like a kid from David Hasselhoff. You may know it. Kid not just drives from A to B. He's a consultant. He understands strategic moves. He can gain insights human are impossible to get. This is the AI of the second generation. You may think, I don't know, I don't understand, why do we need that? We have a lot of industry experts, why do they need such a consultant? Isn't it enough to look into the data? Let's look at fact-based management. I will give you an example from the lottery industry. So the lottery industry looks at its facts and they see old people play lottery much more than young people. And their conclusion is, obviously the product is attractive to old people and not very attractive to young people. That's a conclusion. So then the whole marketing is basically customized to this insight. But actually, if you take those data and put it in a causal AI, you find that the opposite is true. If everything is the same, old people are less likely to play lottery. So this is typical spurious correlation. The true reason for playing lottery is ritualization and experience of winning. And this comes over time, over age. The older you get, the more likely you are to ritualize it and to have the experience of winning. And this is driving playing lottery. Just one example which shows that machines can help us to prevent failure. I give another quite famous example where how valuable AI can be to make strategic decisions. It's 5 years from now when there was a small mobile carrier in the US, T-Mobile, very small, making losses, and they hired a new CEO which launched a great new strategy. They gave iPhones for free on top, lowered prices, and eliminated contract terms at all. And actually, people were coming, they were growing, but the company didn't know why. Which of all those moves were causing people to come? This was so important because any of those features can be easily copied, right? So that's why we applied causal machine learning and found that none of those features are the direct cause. It is just the reason why to basically demonstrate the new positioning. We are the Robin Hood of the industry. We are changing wireless for the better. And this was really attracting people. And actually, we recommended to invent new kind of features. For instance, they introduced global roaming for free, and so forth. This continued a growth phase. Now they are double in market share, threefold stock evaluation, record profits, and they buy Sprint and are now similarly sized as AT&T and Verizon. So a good insight can really make a difference in strategy, marketing strategy. The issue for most companies, however, is this is customized research approach. They take individual brand tracking data or whatever, and you build individual models. It takes time, budget, and efforts to build it and to defend it within the company. That's why many companies don't do it. It's too complicated. That's why the way forward in the future is that basically there will be standardized solutions, standardized market research solutions which use AI in a standardized way. And I would like to show you today two of those kinds of solutions and illustrate to you what the value is for companies. The first solution is called Creative AI. What do you think, what's the share of the quality of a creative on the gross? Is it 25%, 50, 70? Who's for 25%? What's your opinion? Would think 50? 70? Nobody? So actually the majority says 50. Actually it's 75%. Basically the growth of a company in a consumer space depends mainly on the quality of the creative. So I'm asking you, are we really taking it serious enough? Or do we just give it to the creative masterminds to make a good commercial? Do we really apply enough rigor? So this is an example of how you can apply the rigor to help creators making more effective advertising. So what we did was we did a syndicated study in 6 different categories. We tested hundreds of ads. So we tested the response of customers, what's the emotional reaction, and what's the purchase intent, brand strength, and so forth. And we did more. We did content analysis. So basically experts were categorizing what is objectively happening in a spot. There are creative vehicles, which are, is there a celebrity, what kind of music are they using, and so forth. And there are emotional triggers. Emotional triggers is the overarching emotional message of a spot. There are 130 types of them. Let me give you 3 examples for an emotional trigger. family is the most important thing in the world.
Next. We're the makers, creators, crafters.
You customer, you are a achiever.
Yeah, like I've always been known for. So when people say all banks are the same, you can say, not quite. Putting you first is just a better way to bank.
Dear customers, we are your friend. You can trust us. Every ad has an emotional message. This is basically categorized by experts without judging. And it's just data. That's the issue. There's just data. Data doesn't tell you anything about what's important, what's not. You need to apply key driver analysis approaches to find out. And that's why we applied AI-based key driver analysis, because conventional key driver analysis, as we will see later, are limited. They have overly simplistic assumptions. Before we see how this works, let's look into some findings we get. So, first thing we found was that three main drivers drive purchase intent, which is basically the ad is linked to the brand, and people learn something from it. But everything, any of those KPIs are mainly driven by the emotion. So basically, people only learn when it attaches them, when they got emotionally relevant content. They must feel in order to learn. This is what the data says, what the AI told us. The big question is, however, okay, I know emotion is important, but which kind of emotions? Let me show you an emotional SWOT. It's quite emotional. There are, of course, other types of SWOTs, but basically it uses negative emotions. And for the same reason, those ugly pictures on cigarette parcels doesn't work. The same reason this also doesn't work. So basically, what the AI found is to make an advertising work, it needs to leave the customer happy. And surprise is a good way to drive happiness. You can use fear and sadness, but you need to basically convert it to happiness within the storyline. And if you inspire anger, content, or disgust, it will always destroy effectiveness of your ad. Effectiveness means there may be awareness, but people will not buy. So there are more findings. For instance, we found that every category has a different emotional trigger, a specific trigger which works in this category. In food, it must be indulgence, and in pharmaceuticals, there are, for instance, two main triggers used. It is suffering and relief. What do you think? Which one of them work? Who's for suffering? Nobody? Who's for relief? Yeah. So relief would look like this.
It's 24-hour non-drowsing and prescription strength. Free yourself with Clarisprint.
So wonderful world and really relief. Actually, most of the ads use it, but the AI tells us it doesn't make a difference. It's not a strong enough emotion to really connect with customers. If you really want to grow and make a difference in this market, you should use a trigger like this.
Allergies can distract you. So when your symptoms start, doctors recommend taking non-drowsy Claritin every day of your allergy season.
Don't be one of those losers that don't take the right medication. So this much better relates, and there are many different ways of doing it. Another example for creative vehicles, typically nearly any spot uses music, and music is known to inspire emotions, right? So typical spots use background music like this.
Now he can run wild with the rest of the pack. With children's Sept, he can love the air.
So from the same category, actually I show another spot which also uses music, but in a very different way, so it injects a smile in your face.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone.
Non-drowsy children's Claritin relieves kids' worst allergy symptoms for 24 hours.
Plus, it's the #1 pediatrician recommended non-drowsy brand.
Gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
It's not the kids what is working here. It is a simple trick used in many commercials. Use a well-known song which has lyrics that corresponds to the message of the spot. This really drives emotions, which we think the AI can prove statistically. Last example, there's always open question, how can I convey my message? Yeah? I want to convince a customer that my product is so great, and typically what brands are doing, they use voiceover and text like this.
For 24-hour non-drowsy Claritin, it provides relief of symptoms that can be triggered by over 200 different allergens.
Exactly. So what the AI found is, if you want to convey a message, use the most simple way. Use a person standing in front of the screen, speaking to the customers, and say in simple terms what needs to be said.
Our prescription nasal sprays are the most effective class of treatment for nasal allergies.
One of the most effective spots of the category. So, all the findings of the AI can be visualized in a cause-effect network. And actually, there are very important variables which you basically then connect. First of all, there are direct impacts, especially if purchase intention is directly impacted by if you learn something, you are more likely to buy. But then there are indirect effects. That's why it's not enough to use conventional key driver modeling because regression approaches only measure direct effects, not indirect effects. But the most important thing make people happy is an indirect causal effect, which are measured by the AI. So you may ask, okay, how can I understand how big the impact of any causal relation it is? And you probably want to know how AI works, so I show you with a simple example. So this is a respondent, okay? And these are just two dimensions, two possible success drivers. The one is happiness. The second is, let's say, if someone learns something. Yeah. So this guy is not happy with the ad, and also he then learned something. So the height of it tells us whether or not he wants to buy. Okay, purchase intention. So here we have another guy. He has higher learning, medium-term happiness, and this guy. He was very happy and he also learned something. So we can learn how can we learn how important happiness is and how important learning is. If you look at the data, the more happy people are, the more they buy. The more they learn, the more they buy. So everything correlates, right? So obviously, but happiness has no direct link, right? And this simple methodology is called linear regression, can give you an answer. It has 3 parameters. The height is a constant. This parameter tells us how important happiness is, and this is how important learning is. So the method basically adjusts its parameters to predict the data. What you see here is that the parameter of happiness is 0. So happiness is not needed to predict purchase intention. It's simple linear regression. Okay? So why do we use AI? Because the world is a little bit more complex. Complex in a way that we don't know it up front. So that's why we cannot use economic modeling, because it requires hypothesis. Instead, there might be strange guys like they buy if they understood something but not too much and like it somehow. And then we use, let's call it universal regression. You can also call it machine learning if you like, or neural networks. It's all the same. And basically, it has a lot of parameters. Yeah, that's why it's called semi or non-parametric. And it adapts to the data to best predicts purchase intention. So this is also visualized. This is convention modeling, convention statistics, it's overly simplistics, linearity of drivers, independence of drivers. And AI, machine learning, is adaptive to data. And in the third layer of analysis, we apply simulation techniques, which helps us basically to measure the importance of happiness. Yeah? We can simulate how much more people will buy if they are 10% more happy. This is what the AI tells us. Okay, so can we measure if it's valid or not? Sure, we can. It explains double of the variance. And it has indirect drivers compared to conventional key driver modeling. So it explains by factor 3 better why customers buy and others don't. And this is about creative AI, right? So there's this model. But the good thing is now, once this model for a category is built, we can use it on very simple copy tests. So the copy test just measures field link like learned, and the AI computes a score which measures how powerful an ad is. This is a distribution of all tested ads, so most ads are not very impactful. But again, that's the power of it. We have AI applied on a standardized approach, so it can be used cost-effective, very cheap and simple copy tests to measure power of creatives. Okay, let's look at the second example I brought today, NPS. NPS is probably now the standard for measuring loyalty, although many market researchers don't like it because it doesn't measure it so well. But it is very simple, and that's why it's used to manage loyalty. And but there's an issue. There are just two questions. Will you recommend and why? And basically, management asking questions. Why did the NPS drop last month? Why is it? I don't know. Or what's most important? What should we do to drive loyalty? These are the questions which are not answered by the simple survey. So what do companies doing? They try to do some analytics. Typically, they compare new customers with old customers, segment A with segment B, and of course you find differences. But typically you should not make the failure to interpret that too much, because it's mostly spurious correlations. Old customers, of course, more loyalty, but for a reason. But you don't know the reason by doing this analytics. That's why some companies do serious key driver analysis, for instance with AI. But again, this is a customized approach, takes efforts and budgets. So that's why companies look at the open text responses, right? They ask, why did you are loyal? And they assume that the most mentioned reasons are the drivers of loyalty. You will see later that this assumption is typically not true. But AI can help us. Yeah? Imagine you would have a tool which not just reports the NPS in their trend, but also can quantitatively explain why it changed it and what's most important to drive loyalty. I will show you now how this quickly works. So the approach is simple. We have just two questions: likely to recommend, and the open unstructured text. And we want to understand how can we explain loyalty with this text. And this is done in two stages. First, we need to categorize text in content categories. So you could do this manually, but if you are a larger company with a lot of touch points, it's can be very costly, right? And timely as well. So that's why there is natural language processing AI, which can help us here. And once you have the categories, you still don't know what's important. You need causal AI. These two stages can be applied. So you have a very simple research approach, but get some exciting insights, as I showed you now. So let me first quickly explain how the natural language AI works. Basically, there are different approaches. The unsupervised, but this is a supervised approach. Basically, this means humans train the machine how to code. They code some 100 examples. The machine learns automatically how to understand how to code. It does it because in some pre-processing, the text is basically categorized. There are the core of the words extracted, and then they use a word model. The word model is built out of Wikipedia, massive data, and it knows basically that man and woman are somehow related, and king and queen are somehow related, and even they have relations. So this word model helps to make sense of those tiny differences. Chicken or chickens is very different. Chickens are the animals, and chicken is something to eat. Right? And, this word model can help to understand that. And then in AI, the neural network is used to understand the relationship between this word model and the categorized text. And second, we use artificial intelligence to understand how to drive loyalty. So again, a cause and effect network is built, including a sentiment variable, which is also a result of natural language processing. So this approach prevents spurious correlations. It self-learns unexpected nonlinearities and interactions, and it has the indirect effects. Yeah? That's something may not cause directly, but indirectly impacts. Let me illustrate to you this in a case study. So we applied this methodology for Sonos, and here's one outcome. What you see here is all success drivers in two dimensions. The first one is the frequency. Sound quality is by far the most mentioned reason why people are loyal. Right? And impact, this is a total simulated impact to drive or to lose loyalty. And you see here is that sound quality is important, but further improving it will not be so impactful as further getting more people to mention overall performance, reliability, and so forth. So it is not very often mentioned, but it is, once it is mentioned, it is a true reason for loyalty. This is what we call hidden drivers. You don't see it in the data, you only see it if you apply AI. And another thing which we can show is basically the direct and indirect effects. For instance, you see that sound quality basically drives sentiment and not loyalty and likely to recommend. It has an indirect effect. This means basically you can understand, okay, sound is a very emotional matter. Instead, access to music or something like that is a functional thing, which may also make people loyal, but it's a functional matter. You also understand yeah, why things work and why don't. So you may ask, again, can you prove that this is really worthwhile what you're doing, that it is correct? Actually, yes. We can, with a cross-validated approach, see that we explain about 40% better why people are loyal. Plus, with the indirect causal approaches, so we understand by factor 2 better why people are loyal and others don't, with a very simple approach. The same question you may ask for the natural language processing. Actually, what we did was we used a lot of different software systems on the market. So the most software systems you know are unsupervised software. It's software from Rogator, Lexelytics, Odintext, Remesh, Google libraries out there. They are all unsupervised, which is great because you just give them the data and they categorize, they find the categories by themselves. So that's why it's so popular. But actually we can prove if those codes are predictive, and we found not very much. We cannot work with unsupervised approaches. It explains by 0.4 on average why people are loyal and others don't. That's why we try to program our own software. Yeah? We used open source methods, arrived by 0.5. Also not enough, because manual coding was much better, 0.7. So we needed to come close to this 0.7. And actually, we found a platform which can do that, which is this time even better than manual coding, because this system can better code sentiments than any human. Sometimes it's a little bit less, but basically, yes, it is applicable to automate coding. There are more examples. I just flipped through here. For insurance, most mentioned reason is great personal service, but the true driver is trustworthy, honesty, reliability. Same approach you can even apply to brand tracking, to brand consideration. We did it for Tesla. It found that actually the actual media problems they have are really making or driving away customers. Some customers don't buy because of that. You just see that by using AI. And last example, we did a mobile survey, 17 questions, every second question open text question. So we were thinking, that's horrible. But actually 90% of people enjoyed it. That's really a lot. And of course we asked why. We found most people say it's easy, it's quick, good questions. But actually this mentioning were not really driving what they're saying. Instead, what really drives enjoyment of a survey is simple and the possibilities to give the answers in natural language, open, and this is what NPS is about. This is why NPS works so well. And NPS AI builds on this mechanism. People are enjoying it, and they give, and we now are able to extract the wealth of data. So let me summarize. NPS AI is basically using AI, but basically make it everything very simple. But we get a lot of insights from that. But it is affordable because everything is standardized and automated, and costs a fraction of conventional approaches. So let me summarize. AI will be growing, the conventional AI like a Google self-driving car. But the next wave will be AI like KIT from David Hesterhoff, by building standardized research approaches applying AI. So thank you very much. If you like to know more, send me an email, bakwa@successdrivers.com, and I will send you my latest book, as an e-book, The End of the KPI. Thank you.